My parents like to call me crazy.
I would talk about it constantly. I would think about it constantly.
I bought a 3D printer. I bought a heat gun. I lost the heat gun, so I bought another heat gun.
They were calling me like a loser and stuff like that.
They shun people like me. My name is Ryan Noon. There was a girl I liked, and she was really into cosplay, so I started getting into the hobby too. As it turns out, love for girl is temporary, love for cosplay is forever.
My name is Andres Gutierrez. I never really intended to get into cosplay until, well, I saw Todoroki from My Hero Academia, and I really related to his character and how he feels about his father. I didn't really have a good relationship with my dad at the time.
I'm cynical.cosplay, or Sin for short. When I started cosplaying was kind of my entire life since I was like a kid. And like I had like so much anxiety and like cosplay was a way for me to get rid of it. So it's kind of just like I'm just gonna think about cosplay all the time. So I'm not like freaked out.
I'm Ash Carrier. The biggest reason I got into cosplay was gender euphoria. I was in theater and I was always cast as like the male characters. Something about that was like really exciting to me as a kid. Obviously, I didn't know what that was as a kid, like gender expression and that kind of stuff. But as I got older, I started to realize that I really liked dressing up as like both girls, guys, like whatever. And when I started getting into anime was kind of when I realized like, oh, I kind of like these characters and I want to be them to like all of the guy characters. And I got into cosplay. Like one of my first ones was Attack on Titan. Dressing up as one of them and to act as this guy character, the biggest gender euphoria. So with cosplay, I'm able to dress as these masculine characters and like also the androgynous ones. It's always been a great way for me to express like the masculine side that I always wish I could express in every day.
Usually I'll just cosplay characters whose personalities or designs I really like. And personally, I do cosplay both feminine and masculine characters, which is something that is pretty common in the community. I'm also non-binary trans masculine. So cosplay for me is a way to express my gender identity. So when I was younger, I mostly cosplayed masculine characters. I refused to cosplay any girls. Now as an adult, I've kind of embraced it and it's like I want to dress up and I want to look super girly and I want to wear a short skirt or whatever, then like it's fine. So for me, it's a way to like explore how I express myself and also getting comfortable with things like doing makeup or other things that are like traditionally gendered. And I think it's this way for a lot of other people since I know so many cishet men in the cosplay community who crossplay, which is when you cosplay a character of the opposite sex as you.
I tend to cosplay a lot of female characters. A lot of times I run into issues where I really want to look like a character, but I sometimes face backlash from people giving me weird looks and stuff like that because I am biologically male. I've had problems with family members when they found out about it. I had a strong sit down with my traditionally Asian parents. They found out that I was cosplaying female characters, and we had a very long talk about what does this mean about me as a person, a lot of gender identity stuff. I thought a lot about my sexual orientation and how I identify. Would I prefer to identify as female? Would I prefer to identify as male? A lot of us take a look at our own identity and it's like, is this really me? When you identify with a character, maybe you identify where their situation with their gender identity. When I started, I was super nervous about it and I wasn't sure how I felt about everything. But as I did it more and more, I realized by taking a day to step into another character's shoes, I reconcile my own identity.
I just think it's really cool that this is a space where it's totally normalized to be like, yeah, you can play with gender however you want because it's just cosplay. I've been out as non-binary for a super long time, basically since I got into cosplay. I'm super lucky that the cosplay community near me was super welcoming of that since like I said, there's so much like gender non-conforming action in cosplay since it's so normalized like crossplay and it's so normalized for like even cis men cosplaying male characters. You are still kind of expected to do makeup and wear a wig if you want to look nice. And since it's so like appearance based, which is, traditionally considered a feminine thing, I think the line between masculinity and femininity is already super blurred. So like being non-binary is like small potatoes. Everyone's going, yeah, that's normal. So I think that really helped me grow into my identity and like be comfortable with myself.
My very first cosplay that I sewed was a maid outfit because I was following a cosplay YouTuber and I was like, I'm gonna make one of these things, and I hit a random video and it was a maid outfit. I'm like, okay, sure, I'll make that.
When I was younger, I really wanted to go to art school, which did not pan out, but I still do love doing art. And I think that there's so many artistic things involved in cosplay that non-cosplayers probably don't think about, like doing makeup, making props.
I just want to make cool crap. I kind of evolved to be more prop driven. My goal is to be able to look at anything and be like, I can make that given enough time and money and time, mainly time. When I see that a certain character has a really cool staff or a really cool weapon, I tend to gravitate towards those characters more, especially with the use of my 3D printer that I've got.
As an exercise, I like to just think about like, oh, like how am I going to make this shape from a roll of foam? Or how am I going to add these small intricate pieces? Or how am I going to shape this? But part of problem solving through sewing and making props is like really rewarding once you figure out how you're going to do it.
Obviously, there's the whole like sewing component, which I don't personally do, but I'm so impressed by all like my cosplay mutuals who do sewing.
I asked my mom to show me how to use the sewing machine, and the extent of that was showing me how to sew a straight line. My mom has this mentality that you're not supposed to ask for help. You're supposed to observe and learn to do it on your own. It was one of the few times where I'm actually learning something from her instead of her telling me to just watch her do something. Going from that to actually like teaching me how to use and set up a machine was definitely like seeing a different side of my mom. It's kind of a special moment. Sometimes my mom still asks for pictures of my cosplays, which is like, I always love it when she asks because it shows that she has some interest in what I do.
I really like doing the male characters that like are a bit more feminine because I kind of like the mixture of that. Specifically, like the androgynous characters are probably my favorite. My number one so far favorite character to cosplay would be Hua Chang from Heaven Official's Blessing. Just the feeling you get when you wear it too, because it's like super layered and it's really loud and jingly. It's so much fun. As embarrassing as it sounds, I do make videos on TikTok. So I do wear it just like randomly at night, mainly at night at like 2 in the morning. I'll like get all dressed up and I'll make videos on there. I mainly wear them at conventions. There is a part of me that's like, I can't act a certain way that's like not in his character because then people are gonna look at me and be like, that's that's a bit out of character. Or like people will come up to you and like say the name of your character and then talk to you as if you are the character. So I'm like always aware of that in my head. That's always like the thought process of this person might come up to me and just start addressing me as this character. Like I don't want to ruin it, so I have to like be ready to get really into that.
I will always fondly remember my first anime convention and cosplay meetups where I looked like a hot mess. I didn't know how to do makeup or style a wig. I was wearing my costume straight out of the bag, which I still do. And I was like way too shy to talk to anyone besides the friend who I dragged along with me. But people were still so nice to me and complimented my cosplays and took me into their groups to hang out.
I used to not take pictures at all of myself. Like from sixth to ninth grade, there probably exist only 9 or 10 pictures of me in general. I used to worry a lot more about how I looked. When I feel gross, I feel like other people see me as gross. That's like kind of one of the main issues I'm trying to work on outside of cosplay is trying to be more confident in myself. When you're in cosplay, I feel a lot more confident, so hence I feel like I look a lot more confident. Almost like wearing a mask. The confidence that comes with just being able to take a picture of yourself. It was a big hurdle to come over.
I'm Asian American, and I did struggle a lot with not fitting conventional Eurocentric beauty standards as a kid. And I still struggle with that. And it is a problem in the cosplay community that it tends to be that East Asian and European facial features are valued a lot more. But in some ways, it also did help me a little bit because when I was younger, it made me realize like there are so many beautiful people who look like me who are super popular and they look amazing. Obviously now as an adult, I'm like, the beauty standard is bad. We should not push it. But when I was a kid, it really did help me improve my self-confidence about my appearance.
There was a event for one of the basketball games and it was just like a costume day and they were like, yeah, wear a costume. I thought it'd be cool to show up in like one of my cosplays. It was Attack on Titan and I wore like the straps and I wore the jacket and that was it. I didn't even wear like the leg straps, but I was walking to meet up with my friends and a whole group of guys surrounded me and started taunting me and harassing me. My life, whatever I do, did not affect them at all, and I just think it's funny that they even thought to say something.
When my parents found out for the first time I had that sit down talk, it was very discouraging because I was like, man, I am really putting strain on my family relationships. When I was in high school, my sister attended the same high school, and my sister's friends would go up to her and be like, so, is your brother gay? I was trying to reconcile two things that I really liked, right? I love my family and I love making cosplay. Of course, I never wanted to disappoint my parents, but I felt like by doing this hobby, it was very much a disappointment to them. Eventually, my parents and I came to an agreement. It's fine now, but at the time, it was definitely the most difficult challenge I had faced.
Todoroki, in his story, he does not get along with his father. He sees him as a villain or an obstacle. His father had his own plan for Todoroki to be successful, but Todoroki didn't want to follow that. He wanted to separate himself from his father. And that's kind of how I saw this connection between me and Todoroki, and also just general anger towards his father. So when I was in high school, me and my dad did not get along. There was a conflict between academics and labor work. My dad does complain about how much time I spent on my hobbies. He grew up in a poor family. He's an immigrant. What got him to a stable position in his life was hard work through like labor and stuff. And he wanted to teach me the value of hard work as like a kind of a backup plan in case my academics didn't work out. But I really wanted to focus on academics and my hobbies because I felt that just doing my best in what I was passionate in was going to get me where I wanted to be. So there was that conflict between him wanting me to learn his way of success and me trying to make my own path to success. Later on, my relationship with my dad kind of got better, and in the My Hero Academia story, the relationship between Todoroki and his dad does get better.
I had a lot of social anxiety, and I still have a lot of anxiety, but I'm better at it now partially because of cosplay. So it was just nice to be in a community where I still consider them like my older siblings in the community because they just really helped guide me, made sure I felt safe when I was at cosplay events. Since cosplay is such an expensive hobby, I ended up getting my first job because I wanted to buy myself costumes. So then being at that job forced me to like interact with people, figure out I can do this stuff. I shouldn't let my anxiety hold me back.
A lot of people kind of push away the idea of cosplaying because they don't fit what a character should look like.
I think the people who look down on cosplayers don't understand that we're expressing ourselves while having fun. That in its own is not something to be shunned.
There is no right way to do it.
It's an artistic choice, it's a personal choice, and it's a choice that comes with confidence.
More people need to know that you can do whatever you want with it. You can find things at a thrift store and put it together and make something, or you don't have to look exactly like a character. You just do whatever you want. Like it's a way to express yourself, and everybody expresses themselves differently.
These characters mean so much to some people. Bringing those things to life is the coolest part of cosplay. We're just people too.